What's going on? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday. It's Thanksgiving week. It's relatively a short week, holiday week. So, something to keep in mind, especially those of you going into same week expiration. That's something that you want to keep in mind. But good morning, AA. Good morning, Annette. I am a little bit under the weather. Got a little bit of a cough going on this morning. I probably could have COVID. I haven't tested positive yet. But I'm good. I'll grind through it. It'll be all right. But a few things. I am cutting today's morning session a little bit short, obviously, within about 12 minutes here, market open. But I kind of just wanted to give you the key points of things that you want to pay attention to as the week kicks off. All right. That was more so what I wanted to pretty much give you so that way you have a little bit of a guide here at setting the tone for the week. Uh, First thing I wanted to highlight, and I usually start off with SPY or looking at ES futures, but I wanted to actually start off with the Dow. And why am I looking at the Dow is because the Dow has actually been one of the stronger points, regardless of when we've seen tech or the broader market more so weak. All right. And so that's exactly what we're seeing. The Dow is actually going green this morning. And it's actually one of my favorite patterns in the broader market that I've actually been successfully trading is the descending broadening wedge. And so you can see that pretty much setting up here on the Dow. You already got the nice retest action that took place off of here. And so you should be set up to get continuation. And the Dow should be able to break north over 34,280. All right. So that's what I'm going to watch for continuation. Let's see if that 34,280 ends up being a resistance and we come right back down. That's entirely possible, but that would be relatively taking out that prior high that we had dating back towards August 16th. All right. So that's what I'm going to look for here on the Dow. So if you're looking for pretty much that upside, as you do see this morning, that ES futures, Nasdaq futures, they are both in the red right now. Look to see if the Dow is pretty much going to show that relative strength. Does it continue to hold up despite how futures and the Nasdaq pretty much look? All right. So it just tells me the fact that yeah, the Dow has a better setup and has a better chance of continuation from this setup than particularly looking at futures, whether it be S&P or Nasdaq. All right. So hopefully that kind of gives you something. Obviously, if you don't see what you particularly like in the broader market or looking in the tech sector, then I would say look at your Dow names and see exactly how that may end up being a benefit to you. Trying to stay away from the tech sector, especially if it's bleeding. Some of you may not be wanting to chase that action to the downside. So I would look towards the down. All right. So let's see what else we can look at that I actually want to point out. The other important thing I want to point out this morning was the dollar. All right. And why the hell am I pointing out the dollar for? Well, if I remember a while back, and I think this was actually me doing my YouTube live post market, right? I was actually at the top, or more so the peak of where this ascending broadening wedge was taking place. And as you see, it is a bearish pattern, and we did end up breaking down right through our support level. All right. But what's ended up happening this morning, we were able to find a base, find a little bit of a reversal off of prior highs, prior launch pads more so. I want to say we basically anchored off of our relative support test dating back towards August 12th. And that is what is currently acting as a support right now. And why is that important? Is because typically we have seen historically when the dollar goes up, equities typically go lower. So it's going to be pretty important to see, all right, does the dollar continue this little reversal that is taking place right now? Do we see a move over 107 and a quarter? All right. Over 107 and a quarter, then we can start to see the dollar continue to rip. And it's more than likely that we're basically getting an early morning bounce for Nasdaq and S&P 500. All right. Because if you did notice, probably I want to say what a few minutes ago, probably an hour or so ago, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq was down more than it was now. So we are getting a little bit of a bounce. We are seeing a little bit of pretty much a flattening out here on the dollar. But if we get over that 107 and a quarter, I want to see how the futures pretty much particularly act. Do we see a scenario in which case we've seen where the VIX has been up and futures have been up? Is that going to be the scenario? Are we going to see the dollar rally with equities this morning? All right. So that's going to be something that's interesting to me if for whatever reason we see futures go green and the fact that the dollar is still going to be relatively green here. That's going to be pretty much a head scratcher because as we know, usually when the VIX is green and SPY is green, we're like, who the hell's lying? Right? That could end up being the same case here this morning, but key level to watch, and that's why I pretty much want to emphasize. We get over 107 and a quarter. I don't particularly see that being a good thing for equities, but you want to see how futures pretty much react if and when we do end up breaking that or we hit it as a resistance. All right. So that's something that I pretty much want to put out there for you guys to pretty much give you a little bit of a heads up. Now, if I get into the micro levels here, as we're pretty much getting closer into time for the opening bell, just to give you a little bit of a quick synopsis of a little bit of no for your day trade aspect, and knowing whether we're going to get continuation to the downside or we're going to get continuation to the upside. And what I basically had illustrated here this morning was a little bit of a descending channel action that's been taking place. And it's been numerous occasions where this little median of this descending channel has actually acted as a resistance. We attempted a breakout and we came right back below the median of this descending channel. But as you see this morning, we kind of flagged high and tight here for most of the morning, despite the little regression that we've had. But we were able, off of this recovery, we popped right over that downtrend resistance is what I was looking for. So right now, off of the morning opening bell, what I'm gonna look for is to see are we gonna end up retesting down towards 39.61 here off of ES. 39.61 will be the retest level. If 39.61 holds, then we should get the continuation and right over this pre-market high that we're looking at currently this morning. All right, but below 39.61 is going to likely indicate that this is a false attempt of a reversal, and then we're going to see the continuation right back to the downside. In which case, your pretty much downside risk will be coming down all the way towards the median again of this little channel action that we've been sitting in down towards 39.50. All right. So that's basically typically what I'm looking at here this morning. By the way, AA, appreciate the kind words, my guy. Lobo, what's going on, my guy? I'm a little bit sick. I don't know what I got, who I got it from. I probably got it from my wife because I took it to the hospital, and that was not a good thing. I probably should have stayed in the car and let her go in by herself, but oh well. We make all bad choices from here and there, so it is what it is. But like I was mentioning here, kind of just giving you the gist, we're getting a nice little blow through here off of ES. So it's a beautiful picture to see it here that we're getting this push rather significantly. But 39.61, I want to see that particularly hold if we get any kind of pullback, any kind of retracement off of this. And then my upside target here for ES today would particularly be right around 39.73, 39.74 is what I'm looking at for upside. We blow through that 39.74, then you could pretty much put this right back up towards 39.83, in which case everyone will be looking for that spy mark over 400 yet again. All right. And of course, that was futures. I kind of outlined, just giving you the pre-market action involved, but then also the broader perspective of my spy chart, which pretty much is still intact with the little falling wedge action that we have off of the weekly, right? We're still intact. We had a nice little retracement there off of so far. The 390 support was hit that I think I mentioned about 2 or 3 days, pretty much going into the end of last week. I was pretty much referring to that 390 level being a key level of support. We were able to pretty much bounce right off of that. Now we're sitting at this 394 support. That was pretty much where I wanted to see if we would base here going to the opening bell. As long as we hold 394, we should get continuation over the high over 399.35, and we'll see continuation for the holiday week. If we end up breaking down below 394, look out for 390 yet again, which that should end up being an easy trade to the downside to retest support yet again, and then you're going to look for a continuation on that breakdown below 390, 387 is rather going to be pretty swift. All right. So, like I said, I mean, I'm kind of cutting this morning a little short. Kind of trying to hold in my coughs that I have this morning because my throat is bothering the shit out of me. But hopefully, I was able to give you a little bit of an outlook, right? Looking at the Dow for that relative strength as we already seen it go green. Looking at the dollar as it's found a nice little base here and getting a reversal. Look for that 107 and a quarter mark for the dollar to see how equities respond. A nice little bounce taking place this morning, but of course, S&P futures, you want to see that hold at 39.61 on this little retracement here. And then we might be able to pretty much go red to green here. I wouldn't count on it if I'm being completely honest. Just because of the fact that looking at the dollar, right now the dollar does look like it does have more upside, and when we've seen the dollar pretty much rise, it has not been relatively good for equities. So that's pretty much my concern for us going red to green, but that's why there's pretty much levels, and that's why you're looking at more than one thing. I could also look at the VIX here this morning as well to give you a little bit more of an outlook here. We are basing right at one of my support levels, 2384 was one of my support levels here for the VIX. Now, if we end up breaking down below 2384, then that would likely give us that push that we need for futures to pretty much go green. And then that would take me to my next level support of 23.17. All right. If we can't end up holding to, if we end up getting continuation to the upside, and we see that this little morning bounce is pretty much a fake out, like I was mentioning, futures need to hold at 39.61 as we're basically right there right now. Then we can get continuation on the VIX to the upside here. And first level of resistance I'm watching for is 24.68. All right. So that's pretty much giving you the outlook here between the VIX, looking at the dollar, looking at the Dow for some relative strength here this morning. I would likely say, and this is pretty much just my insight, is that if you're looking to play the upside, I would likely favor looking at the Dow first this morning, more so. And then because of the fact that I don't particularly see Nasdaq getting much upside, I think you might have a more favorable chance with the Dow stocks than you will with Nasdaq. That's just a little bit of an insight, but that's why a lot of things can happen once that bell rings. All right, but that's just my insight looking at things right now, and particularly the fact that the Dow actually has one of my favorite setups of the descending Browning wedge, which it's been particularly rare when it has let me down, but it is already breaking out from that downtrend resistance. So it is entirely possible that this could be a full out red day. It's just a matter of looking at those key indicators, looking at the VIX and the dollar, like I was pretty much outlining. And so hopefully, I would hope, right, that this morning, once that bell rings, now you're going to start to look for those key levels with the dollar and the VIX and look to see if they end up breaking out or breaking down, vice versa. All right. And that'll likely give you the bigger leading indicator as to whether this little morning pump was a fake out and we go back down, or do we make an attempt to go green? All right. So I'm going to leave you guys with that as I'm pretty much losing my voice here right now, I feel like. And hopefully, you guys all have a great training day. I'm hoping I feel better by tomorrow. And I could probably sound a whole lot better than I sound like a chipmunk right now. But I appreciate the kind words, by the way. Manoj, Annette, appreciate it. I'm gonna go kind of find some tea here to get for my throat. But other than that, again, hopefully you guys have a great day. If anything, just pretty much drop me a comment or tag me in Discord if anything, and I will be there for it. All right. But you guys all have a great day. Later, guys.